We cannot leave now, Mama. Chioma's shop opening is today. All the important people from Enugu are here. You understand, don't you? Those were the exact words my eldest son, Chukwudi, said to Dr. Okonkwo when the doctor called to say I was dying in Lagos University Teaching Hospital. I am Grace Nwosu. I am 64 years old. And tonight, I lie in this hospital bed with a stroke that has paralyzed my left side, staring at white ceiling tiles that smell of bleach and broken dreams. The nurse just told me it's 1:30 in the morning. My 2 sons are 4 hours away in Enugu, celebrating the grand opening of my daughter-in-law's boutique with music and champagne. My body feels like it belongs to someone else. My left arm hangs useless. My left leg refuses to move. The doctors say I'm lucky to be alive after what they call a massive hemorrhagic stroke. Lucky. That's an interesting word for a woman whose children chose a shop opening over their mother's life. Mrs. Nwosu, please try not to stress yourself, whispers Nurse Amoka. She's a young woman, maybe 28, with kind eyes that remind me of my daughter, who died at birth 35 years ago. The doctor said stress can make things worse. Your blood pressure is still very high. But how can I not stress? How can I lie here peacefully when I've just learned that to my sons, I am worth less than a ribbon-cutting ceremony? Dr. Okonkwo told me everything 2 hours ago. His words still pound in my head, like the talking drums at a funeral. Mrs. Nwosu, I called both your sons at 6 p.m. when you arrived. I told them explicitly, your mother has had a severe stroke. She may not survive the night. We need you here immediately. Do you know what Chukwudi said? He said, Doctor, my wife has been planning this boutique opening for 6 months. The governor's wife is attending. We cannot just abandon everything. My mother is strong. She always recovers. Always recovers. Yes, I recovered when their father died suddenly 22 years ago, leaving me with 2 teenage boys and a small provision shop. I recovered when I sold palm oil and groundnuts in the market every day for 15 years, standing in the hot sun from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. to send them to university. I recovered when I sold my late mother's gold jewelry, the only valuable thing I owned, to help Chukwudi start his construction business. I recovered when I moved from our family house in the good part of Lagos to a single room in Ajagunle, so Obinna could use my rent money for his wedding to Ngozi. But tonight is different. Tonight, I realize I cannot recover from the knowledge that when my life hung by a thread, my sons chose to stay at a party. The hospital is quieter now. Most visitors have left. The only sounds are the beeping of machines, the shuffle of nurses' feet, and my own ragged breathing. Through the window, I can see Lagos at night. Yellow lights scattered like stars, cars moving like ants, a city that never sleeps. Somewhere in that darkness is the room I rent in Ajagunle. One room. One small room where I've lived for the past 8 years, while my sons live in big houses with generators and satellite TV. My phone has been ringing. 17 missed calls from my friend Auntie Blessing. She's the one who found me collapsed on the floor this evening and called the ambulance. She's the one who's been sitting outside in the waiting area since 6 p.m. because they only allow family inside. But my family, my blood, my children, they are in Enugu celebrating. I close my eyes and let the memories wash over me. Chukwudi was born in 1982. Obinna came 3 years later. We lived in a 2-bedroom flat in Surulere then, before my husband died. The walls were thin and the paint was peeling, but it was home. I can still remember the smell of jollof rice and akwa cooking, the sound of their laughter as they chased each other around the compound. Chukwudi was always serious. Even at 5 years old, he would say, Mama, when I grow big, I will build you a big house. Obinna was cheerful, always singing, always making everyone laugh. When he was sick with malaria, he would cry for only me. Mama, sing that song, he would say. Everything changed when their father died. Chukwudi was 15, Obinna was 12. One day, my husband went to work at the construction site. By evening, they brought him home in a van. He had fallen from a scaffold. Just like that, the man I loved was gone. We had nothing. His company gave us 50,000 naira. It lasted 3 months. After that, I became everything, mother, father, provider. I started selling in the market. Every morning at 5 a.m., I would go to mile 12 to buy palm oil, groundnuts, gari beans. Then I would sell until evening. My hands remember those days. The way they shook from carrying heavy basins on my head. The burns from hot oil. The ache in my back from sitting on a low stool all day. But every night, when I counted my money and added it to the metal box under my mattress, I would smile. This was for my son's education. Chukwudi finished secondary school and wanted to study civil engineering. I sold my late mother's gold jewelry. 3 necklaces for bangles and earrings. My mother wore them on her wedding day. They were supposed to go to my daughter, but I never had a daughter who lived. So I sold them for 180,000 naira. Mama, I promise you, Chukwudi told me with tears, I will pay you back everything. When I finish school, I will build you the biggest house in Lagos. I believed him. Of course I believed him. He was my son. 3 years later, Obinna also gained admission. I sold more things. Our small TV, my wedding china, even my late husband's clothes. Every kobo went to their education. I wore the same 3 wrappers for 5 years. I stopped buying meat. But my sons were in university. The change started slowly. Chukwudi graduated and got a job. He rented a flat in Victoria Island. When I visited him the first time, I took 3 buses. I brought him ofansola, his favorite soup. He opened the door and looked surprised. Mama, why didn't you call? I have a meeting. A meeting on Sunday afternoon. I gave him the food and left. On the way home, I cried in the bus. Not because he was busy, but because of the way he looked at me, like I was an interruption. Then he met Chioma. She was from a wealthy family in Enugu. Her father owned hotels. Her mother drove a Lexus. The first time Chukwudi brought her to meet me in my market stall, I saw the expression on her face. She looked at my stall, my old wrapper, my worn slippers, and something in her eyes said, "This is not good enough." "Mama, we want to marry," Chukwudi told me 6 months later. "But Chioma's family expects a big traditional wedding. I need 400,000 naira for the bride price and ceremonies." I had saved 120,000 naira over 3 years. It was supposed to be for when I got too old to work. But this was my son's wedding. So I gave him every kobo. I also borrowed 100,000 from my savings cooperative. The wedding was beautiful. Chioma wore 3 different outfits. The reception was at a big hotel. I sat at the back with other relatives, wearing a borrowed lace wrapper because I had no money for new clothes. Chioma's mother looked at me once and quickly looked away. After the wedding, I expected Chukwudi to help me pay back the cooperative. But months passed. When I finally mentioned it, Chioma answered the phone. "Mama, you need to understand. We are building our lives. We have rent to pay, car maintenance. You cannot keep asking for money." I wasn't asking. I was reminding him that I borrowed money for his wedding. But I kept quiet. I paid the cooperative myself, selling extra hours in the market, skipping meals. Obinna's story was similar. After university, he struggled to find work. He tried different businesses, selling phone accessories, importing shoes, photography. Nothing worked. One day, he came to me. "Mama, I have a real business idea this time. My friend and I want to start a transport company. Just 2 buses. But I need capital. If you can lend me 300,000 naira, in 1 year, I will give you back 500,000. I didn't have it, but I knew where to get it. My sister's son worked in a bank. He could process a loan using my market stall as collateral. The interest was very high, but Obinna promised to help me pay. I got the loan. I gave Obinna the money. The transport business started well for 2 months. Then 1 bus broke down completely. The second bus was in an accident. The business collapsed. Obinna couldn't pay me back. I ended up paying the bank loan myself for 3 years, adding 25,000 naira every month. Then he met Ngozi. She was a banker, educated, confident. When he told me he wanted to marry her, my heart sank. How would he afford a wedding when he still owed me money? "Mama," Obinna said, "I know I haven't paid you back, but this marriage is important for my future. Ngozi's father has connections. He can help me get a good job. I just need to prove I'm serious." "My son, where will you get the money?" "Mama, I need you to help me one more time. Just 200,000 for the wedding. And also I was thinking, your house rent is 80,000 per year, right? If you could move to a smaller place, maybe a single room somewhere cheaper, we could use that money for the wedding and for my new start." My house rent. The 2-bedroom flat I had managed to keep after my husband died. "You want me to leave my house?" "It's not leaving, Mama. It's adjusting. You don't need 2 bedrooms. And I need this chance. Please, Mama." I did it. I moved from Surulere to a single room in Ajagunal. No running water. Shared toilet. Kerosene stove instead of gas. But Obinna had his wedding. After that wedding, I expected things to get better. But I was wrong. The invitations stopped coming gradually. First, it was Sunday dinners. Chioma told Chukwudi that her family had a tradition of Sunday lunch at her parents' house. Then it was holidays. Mama, Christmas is very stressful for Ngozi. She prefers we keep it small. Then it was my birthday. Last year, I turned 63. Nobody called until 3 days later. Phone calls became shorter. Mama, how are you? Good. We're fine too. Very busy. We'll call you later. They never called later. My friend Auntie Blessing warned me. Grace, your sons are forgetting you. Their wives are pushing you away, and they're letting it happen. No, I defended them. They're just busy. Busy. Auntie Blessing laughed bitterly. Grace, I see Chukwudi's wife at the shopping mall buying bags that cost more than your monthly rent. I see Obinna and his wife eating at expensive restaurants. They have money for many things, just not for their mother. The real blow came 6 months ago. I had been feeling unwell for weeks. Headaches, dizziness, blurred vision. When I finally went to the hospital, the doctor said my blood pressure was dangerously high. He gave me medications and told me I needed to rest and eat properly. The medications cost 15,000 naira per month. I could barely afford them. So I called Chukwudi. My son, the doctor says my blood pressure is very high. I need help buying my medications. Mama, right now is not a good time. Chioma is pregnant. We're trying to save money for the baby. Can you talk to Obinna? I called Obinna. Mama, I would love to help, but Ngozi and I are planning to move to a bigger house. Maybe ask Chukwudi. Neither of them could help their mother buy medications. But 2 months later, I saw photos on Facebook, Chukwudi and Chioma at a beach resort in Ghana. Obinna and Ngozi at an Owambi party wearing matching Osoabi. Last month, Chioma opened her boutique in Enugu. It was going to be a big event. The grand opening was scheduled for Friday night, tonight. On Tuesday, I started feeling very ill. The headaches got worse. I felt dizzy all the time. My left side felt strange, tingly. I called Chukwudi. Mama, what's wrong now? My son, I'm not feeling well. My head is pounding. Did you take your medication? I couldn't afford it this month. I had to pay my rent. Mama, you need to be responsible about your health. We're very busy with final preparations for Chioma's opening. Can you go to the hospital yourself? On Wednesday, I felt worse. Auntie Blessing sent me home from the market. Grace, you need to see a doctor. I can't afford the hospital, Blessing. That night, I couldn't sleep. The pain in my head was like thunder. My left arm felt completely numb. I tried calling Obinna. No answer. I tried Chukwudi. No answer. They were probably already in Enugu. On Thursday morning, everything went dark. That's how I ended up here. Auntie Blessing found me on Friday evening. She had come to borrow palm oil and found my door locked. When I didn't answer, she got the landlord to break the door. I was on the floor, unable to move or speak properly. The ambulance brought me to Lagos University Teaching Hospital. The doctors said I had a severe stroke. They said I needed immediate surgery, but they needed my family's consent and money. That's when Dr. Okonkwo called my sons. That's when I learned that Chioma's boutique opening was more important than my life. Now it's Saturday morning, 2 a.m. I've been in this hospital for 7 hours. I've had emergency surgery, and my sons are still in Enugu, probably toasting with champagne. Nurse Amoka comes to check my blood pressure again. Mrs. Nwosu, you need to calm down. Did my sons call? I ask, even though I know the answer. She hesitates. No, Ma, but I'm sure they will call soon. I turn my face to the wall and let the tears come. For 40 years, I lived for my sons. Every decision was for them. Every sacrifice, every pain, every struggle, all for them. And in the end, when I needed them most, they chose a party. But something is happening to me as I lie here. Something is shifting inside. It's not just sadness anymore. It's something harder. Something like steel. I have been a fool. I have spent my whole life sacrificing everything, expecting that one day my sons would appreciate me. But they don't appreciate sacrifice. They see it as weakness. They see me as an obligation, a burden. Well, I won't be there anymore. As the sun begins to rise over Lagos, painting the sky orange and pink, I make a decision. A decision that will change everything. I will not die in this hospital. I will recover. And when I do, I will disappear from my sons' lives as completely as they have disappeared from mine. On Saturday afternoon, my sons finally called. It was Obinna, and he put me on speakerphone. Mama, how are you? We just heard you were in the hospital. Why didn't you tell us? The anger that rose in me was like fire. Why didn't I tell you? The doctor called you yesterday at 6 p.m. and told you I was dying. Awkward silence. Then Chukwudi spoke. Mama, it wasn't like that. The doctor called. Yes, but he didn't make it sound urgent. And Chioma's opening was very important. The governor's wife was there. We couldn't just cancel everything. I had a stroke, I said. I was on the floor of my room for hours. The doctors said I almost died. But you didn't die, Mama, Obinna said. You're strong. You always recover. And the doctors fixed you, right? So everything is fine now. Everything is fine. My sons thought everything was fine. When are you coming to Lagos? I asked. Another pause. Well, we're still in Enugu. Today is the after party. Very important clients are coming. And tomorrow, Chioma wants to visit suppliers. So we were thinking, maybe next weekend. Next weekend. Their mother had a stroke, and they would come next weekend if convenient. That's fine, I said quietly. Take your time. Enjoy your party. That afternoon, Auntie Blessing came to visit. She had been sleeping on a bench in the waiting area. When she came into my room, her eyes were red from crying. Grace, thank God you're awake. I held her hand. Blessing, I need your help. I need you to help me do something very important. I told her my plan. At first, she was shocked. Grace, you can't do this. They're your sons. They stopped being my sons the moment they chose a party over my life, I said firmly. Blessing, I'm 64 years old. If God gives me another 15 years, I'm not going to spend them begging for attention. I'm going to live for myself. Slowly, Auntie Blessing began to understand. What do you need me to do? First, go to my room. In the metal box under my mattress, there's 75,000 naira. Bring it here. I have a sister in Calabar. Nkechi. We haven't spoken in 3 years. But I know she lives alone in a small house near the beach. I'm going to call her and ask if I can stay with her. And your sons?